So Nisha, what's the most expensive thing you've wasted money on that wasn't worth it?
Oh, that's a good question.
You can say university if you want. It's fine.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's a good one.
Within the concept of economics, there's an intriguing concept known as Veblen goods, which are products which inexplicably sell better when more money is charged for them. An idea that spits in the usually cast iron rules of supply and demand, and is utilised by luxury and not so luxury brands across the world to separate us from our hard-earned monies. Also, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Veblen or Veblen. I'm going to go for the latter because it sounds cooler, but I'm very sorry. I've only ever seen that word written down until I spoke it out loud for this video. I'm very sorry, angry people in the comments.
So the word Veblen, where does it come from?
It comes from the name of a famous American economist. God damn it, speaking is not my forte. I need another big gulp of this coffee.
All right.
The word Veblen comes from a famed American economist. Is that right? Is it always economist? Man, I'm starting to question myself right now. God damn it. It comes from an American economist called Thorstein Veblen, who is best known for coining the term conspicuous consumption, which posits that sometimes, especially wealthy people, or people want to give the illusion that they are wealthy, will spend vast amounts of money on objects and items and products, not because they need them, but to show that they can. There's probably people watching right now thinking, no shit, Sherlock, of course rich people spend money just to show off how rich they are. So to point out that Thorstein Veblen coined this term over a century ago, long before the days of things like social media, showing that this has been something rich people have been doing for a very long time. Nisha, before we move on, do you have any examples that spring to mind of someone just flaunting their wealth in a completely pointless manner?
Well, you like you said, you see it on all like Instagram posts, like these rich kids, or on like TV shows like the Sweet 16, people getting like really pissy about not getting the right colour Ferrari or whatever.
Like, is there any show more infuriating to watch than Super Sweet 16? And it's like a 16-year-old kid gets a party thrown in their honour and they get 100 of their closest friends invited. And they get a Mercedes and it's the wrong colour and they cry.
I think there was one I watched where they tried to get like Scouting for Girls to play or something, but they were disappointed because they ended up with the Hoosiers or something like that.
Well, I would be disappointed if the Hoosiers turn up to my party. Oh, it's just the fact though, like, here is a very expensive gift. It's like, but it's not very, very expensive gift. Fuck you, I hate you, Dad. And I don't condone hitting your kids, but whenever I see that show, I just think, if that kid just got one slap really hard out of nowhere, they would probably stop being such an asshole.
So what's the purpose of the Veblen products?
Well, Veblen products are believed to be a natural extension of the theory of conspicuous consumption, in that they are products which have their prices artificially raised because people naturally tend to associate cost with quality. And the theory posits that some companies are acutely aware of this and raise the price of their products without increasing the build quality or anything like that, to make people believe that it costs more, so it must be better. And I'm guessing right now everyone's got the same product or series of products in mind for this, and it's the fucking iPhone and any Apple product.
Yeah. Okay, so just to clarify, Veblen goods are just expensive products then?
Yeah, products that are expensive for no other reason than fuck you. And economists note that some companies will try to obfuscate the fact that their products are expensive for no real reason by clever use of technical sounding jargon or luxury and expensive sounding weasel words. Again, Apple being a prime example. Think differently.
So I'm guessing companies wouldn't never admit that they're selling Veblen products, but you can kind of guess what they are.
You can, yeah, because no company's going to admit to the fact we're selling stuff for more money than it's really worth. You're really just paying for the marketing. And anyone who's ever bought anything or walked around a shop can probably tell what goods are Veblen products. A good example being stuff like perfume, which costs a few pennies to make, but can sell for upwards of a few £100s. And charging a lot of money for something like that makes it seem more desirable, even though the additional cost doesn't actually increase the quality by any discernible amount on paper, but it seems like it does.
Well, it's the same for like high-end clothes like Prada, Ralph Lauren, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You're basically paying for the name, not really the quality.
You are paying for the label after a certain point. I don't think anyone's going to argue that a Ralph Lauren shirt isn't going to be of higher quality than one made by someone like Primark, but it gets to the point where the cost can only really be justified by the label that's attached to it, which reminds me of a meme that I quite enjoyed from a few years back, and it was the steal their look meme. Do you remember this, Nisha?
Yes.
And what it was is just get someone from fiction wearing a completely innocuous outfit, for example, Homer Simpson, and then tracking down the most expensive version of his outfit you could find.
Yeah.
It's like, I think there's a Robbie Rotten one as well. It's like steal his look, and it's like total cost like $5,000 because buy a pair of purple slacks for about $3,500. Would you remember when it was Apple released a monitor stand for $1,000?
I think so. Yeah.
Not a monitor stand for $1,000, and people were breaking down what you could buy for the cost of that single stand. It's like you could go and build your own gaming rig. You could get a phone, a camera. You could go get Steam and get 100 games. It gets to a point where you are not paying for build quality, you're paying for the name. I don't think it's any surprise to anyone watching this or you listening, Nisha, that stuff like Apple or Ralph Lauren or any of those luxury brands that people associate with just high end, they might just put a few extra pounds on there just because they know they can get away with it because people will see the product and want to buy it because they want it as a status symbol or whatever. But it probably comes as a surprise to people though that there are lower end, mid-range brands that utilise this concept and have somehow managed to convince people that they too are luxury brands while not increasing the quality of the product in any way whatsoever. And a brilliant example of this is the Scotch whisky Chivas Regal, which people have probably seen either on store shelves or in bars. And generally, Chivas Regal is seen as being a higher end whiskey, and it's usually it's top shelf, which is the industry term for it's a good quality whiskey that costs a lot of money to buy. And according to a very persistent industry rumour that the company who makes Chivas Regal are very keen to deny for obvious reasons, it stated that sometime in the 1950s, the company had a meeting with a marketing executive about lagging sales of Chivas Regal. And the marketing executive told them, after doing a bunch of focus tests, that people like your whiskey, but you're charging too little for it. And the marketing guru told them that you are trying to position yourself as a low-cost luxury brand, which is an oxymoron in the minds of the public, and they don't want to buy it. So his advice to them was double, or according to some rumours, triple your price. And when they asked him, well, what should we do with the recipes, keep it the same. And as you might expect, Chivas Regal strongly deny that rumour, but you can look at the cost of the whiskey over time and see that for some inexplicable reason, the cost doubled.
Okay, so you said the price was increased, so what happened to the sale?
Sales doubled almost overnight because customers naturally assume that the higher cost meant a higher quality, even though the actual quality of the whiskey in the bottle hadn't changed in any way whatsoever. But thanks to the lizard part of our brain that associates cost with quality, Chivas Regal was able to ride that, and now they're positioned themselves as a luxury high-end brand. And another example is designer jeans in the mid-90s. And when designer jeans became all the rage, a lot of marketing experts told some of the bigger designer brands, do not lower your costs to try and compete with other brands, raise them, because then people will, when they see a load of jeans, you see 30 quid, 40 quid, 30 quid, and then you see a pair of jeans for 120 quid, you can think, well, something must be special about these jeans for them to justify that price tag. Even though there might not be, but in your head you think, well, if they're charging that much for it, it must be better.
Yeah.
And that's such a weird concept where you think, yeah, that makes sense, I've done that before. And you know this is true because the inverse happens as well. And when something's suspiciously cheap, you don't trust it. Like when I go to Spoons and I look at the menu and I see a pint of Ruddles is $1.69, I go, I don't trust a beer that's $1.69 a pint. Even though the quality might be fine. In a situation like that, it might be advisable to raise the price to be in line with what other people charge, or higher than it, 'cause then you'll get beer connoisseurs go, well, this is $5.69 a pint. There must be something good about it to justify that price tag, even if there's not. And thanks to psychology and most people being idiots, simply telling someone that something is expensive or will taste better makes them think that it tastes better. There's a placebo effect. We can end on a great example of not a Veblen product, but a Veblen service. And that's a story told by one Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he recounts that when he first came to America, he started a brick-laying company with a few people from his local gym. And what they did initially is charge rock-bottom prices. And you might be thinking, folks, wow. So people in the 80s in LA could have had Mr. fucking Universe and his super buff friends walking around their houses, laying bricks for next to nothing. Man, a lot of bored housewives must have took them up on that offer, and the answer is no. And according to Schwarzenegger, they didn't get any bookings whatsoever until he had the genius idea to double their prices and relabel his business a specialty European bricklaying business. And simply adding the words specialty European and doubling their prices made people think, well, there must be something better about the way he lays bricks than other people.
Yeah. Oh.
And he doubled the amount of sales he got almost overnight again and ended up making himself a tidy sum of money. And if you're thinking, well, how did Arnold Schwarzenegger come up with that? The guy has a business degree. And evidently, he knew how to fucking use it.
It's weird because I can relate to what you've been saying, because I will look at an item and if it is pricey, I'll just think, oh yeah, that must be decent quality, because I think, oh yeah, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Sort of mind frame. But like after hearing this, I'm like going to be like double checking everything and second guessing prices and being like, is it really worth the money? I mean, like when it comes to clothes, I don't like they're sort of going too cheap because I know the quality probably won't last. Like once you wash it, it gets ruined. But I can't justify spending like £60 on a t-shirt. So I always try and find like a middle ground.
Yeah, with clothes it's difficult. And there's some advice I've been given over the years about things you never skimp on. It's shoes. Always buy good shoes. You spend a lot of your time walking around and you want to look after your feet. And anyone who's ever worn bad shoes and got bad feet will tell you, look after your fucking feet. And the other one is a bed. Get a good bed. You spend a lot of your time asleep. You want to be well rested. And you want to look after your back. Again, anyone who's got a bad back will tell you look after your fucking back. And toilet paper. Because fuck it makes sense. Well, they're the three things you should never skimp on.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense. And I'm about to ruin your day even more, Nisha, because there is another concept in sales known as the Goldilocks principle, I think it is. And that is a way of selling people products by positioning very cheap items and very expensive items next to each other and presenting them as options to a customer. So they pick the middle option. And the way this works is if you normally go for the cheaper option, by showing you the very expensive option, you are more inclined to buy the middle option, which is more money than you normally spend, but in your head you feel it's not as expensive. It's more expensive than the one I wanted to get, but it's nowhere near as expensive as that very expensive thing.
Yeah.
So say like with a computer or something like that. So here's an entry-level model for a couple of £100. You think, well, yeah, I guess that does what I need. And I go, and here's a high-end £3,000 model. And you think, well, that's way too expensive. And say, well, here's a mid-range model that falls in the middle. And you think, well, that does everything I need to do, and it's got some of the bells and whistles that I want from the expensive one. And then you buy that, and then you go, no, I spent more money. And that's a trick taught to salespeople, and that's one of the ways I used to upsell on the bar. So, Nisha, you're always going to spend more money than you want to, whether you like it or not.
I saw it as well, like on, I don't know if you watch any of like Joe Lycett's stuff that he does.
Oh, that guy's ace.
Where he does the program Got Your Back, where they check out Black Friday deals, where they say the company puts the price up like a few months before Black Friday. Yeah. Or
and then slashes it in half so they can say that the price is halfway, and you think that's a great deal. And there are loads of little tricks like that, and they work even up to the most expensive items an average person might buy, like a car or a house. And one of the reasons you might see, for sale, a house, £599,995. And I think, well, why don't you just charge $600,000? And that's because studies have shown that when you see 599, because you're reading 5 first, you think it's closer to 5 than it is to 6.
Yeah.
Even though it is literally as close to 6 as it could possibly be in terms of price. But the psychology behind it is you think it's closer to 5. And that's why almost everything you see for sale, up to and including stuff selling for hundreds of thousands of pounds, always use that trick of 999 at the end. And now, I'm guessing there's a lot of people watching this going, oh God, no, marketers got me all figured out. There's no escape.